Hey all, Daniel here. We have a great new way for you to reach out to us here at We Watch TV. If you take a look down in the show notes of the podcast, you'll notice a link that says text us a question or comment. The link will open the messaging app on your phone, and from there you can send a text message to us, your favorite variety TV podcast hosts. So if we say something you like or don't like about your favorite show, click that link and educate us on your opinion. We love hearing them, even if they're wrong, and we will make sure to shout you out on our next episode or answer your burning questions. So make sure and check that out down in the show notes. And now, enjoy the episode. Hey everybody, welcome to We Watch TV, the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel, she is Hope. This is episode 76. We are officially in the dog days of summer. We're out of shows. We're out of things to watch.
Fall.
We're ready for fall.
It won't be too much longer, though. Like, we have a little bit of a break, so the Olympics can fill some time, and then we have some stuff coming back in August.
Yeah, since we opted out of House of Dragon this year, we don't have anything to help stretch that.
No one made, like, the argument for it early enough. We asked people to argue with us to watch this show, to give us their reasonings why in January, and people didn't. Now, I still kind of catch up a little bit on that. Like, I know the basic plot because YouTube recommends stuff to me. And apparently TikTok thinks I'm, like, the number one
Game of Thrones
fan.
I've almost watched, like, season
Is
one
it House of Dragon or Dragons?
I don't know, nor do I care. I've almost watched season 1 of Game of Thrones, like the original, on TikTok recently. Because, like, you know how that happens.
Yeah.
Like, you just
I've
fall
watched,
down.
like, a movie on TikTok before. It'll show me, like, a clip of it. Somebody posted Shallow Hal. Do you remember that movie with Jack Black? And before you know it, I'm, like, part 5, part 7, and I'm, like, watching the whole thing on there.
Completely out of order, by the way.
Totally out of
but
order.
Still good. So, yeah, I don't know.
I've heard this season is not as good from the hardcore people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're saying it's kind of like, you know how, like, the Arya and the Faceless Man storyline, and that we all felt like that dragged.
Because it did.
I never really liked that storyline. And I've heard that they're kind of like some of the characters are in like a hold pattern like that. So I don't know though, but that's just me. You know how the internet gets very rageful. Very angry.
Yeah. Yes. There are plenty of things that I would think are completely acceptable TV shows that if you get on the internet, you'd think no one's watching it, like it's the worst thing ever made. So yes, I do understand how that goes. But
speaking of TV, we have several announcements. So we'll go ahead and get into that now. For Bridgerton, we now have the season 4 lead confirmed, as we all thought it was going to be. We have Mr. Benedict Bridgerton. His book is the third one of the series, but they went ahead and did Colin and Penelope for season 3. I think they skipped to them because we gotten to know Colin and Penelope a little bit more, though, than you do in the books, because the book is based on each individual Bridgerton, and you sort of know, like, who Penelope is, but not as much as you do on the show. And because Benedict's story is very much of a Cinderella-inspired take, I think they wanted to wait a little bit on that, but it is confirmed that it's Benedict. It's not Francesca yet. I'm sure she'll get some more stuff sprinkled in.
Is it Cinderella in the way that he can't identify the woman that he danced with for an entire night because she's dressed in a completely different outfit?
Basically, yes.
So he's an idiot.
So I think they're going to change that up a little bit. Oh, part of it, too, is that she's, a commoner. So I think they are going to change it up a little bit, though I saw they specifically said that Sophie is going to be confirmed. So Sophie Beckett. So I thought they might make his love interest. They might change Sophie to be a man. It doesn't look like they're going to be doing that. I like Benedict. I'm very excited, but I'll say this about Benedict. I felt like they did his little three-way activities a little too much in the most recent season, and that's not because I'm a prude. It was the fact that they kept interrupting Colin and Penelope, who were the show leads.
What is this guy, French?
We're not going to go there. But I'm like, is it... You can't even make me my train of thought. But Colin and Penelope were the show leads, and I felt like they got a lot of their screen time sucked away. Like, somebody's done, like, a a chart, because fans are crazy, about how much each lead couple has gotten screen time, and they had like, I think, the least, which was annoying. So I'm like, okay, well, when Benedict's having his intense conversations, I want them to cut away to see what Colin and Penelope are up to. Maybe another carriage scene. We'll see. But I am excited for Benedict. His book is called, I believe, An Offer from a Gentleman, because he is a gentleman at the end of the day. And I really do like Sophie. She was one of my favorite book leads. So I'm excited to see how they play that out. That being said, apparently they're still saying we have to wait like 2 years, which I think is absurd.
That's that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Like, that show
crazy.
Cannot be that difficult to produce.
I mean, it is a period piece, and they have a specific time that they do things, but it's just, I don't know. It's extremely annoying to me that they're making us wait 2 years when we had to wait so long for season 3. Because at this point, like, I mean, I always wondered if they were going to get to the younger kids' books. At this pace, I mean, the actors would have been aged up. In other show announcements, completely flipping the script, but also with some British. Laszlo's British, right?
Yeah.
We have What We Do in the Shadows is returning on October 21st. It will air on FX, and then new episodes will be available to stream the next day on Hulu. So, unfortunately, once again, no weekly release. I really like to watch that show as kind of like my evening dinner show.
Mm-hmm.
So, I also can see us having absolutely no chill and not being able to let episodes stack, at least at first.
Oh, no chance we're going to let episodes stack.
Because the fall has become kind of like the dry zone, where it used to be with TV shows, the summer, that was where it was reruns. There wasn't a lot going on. And now this summer has been like when all my shows have come back. And then I think there's less in the fall until you get to that Christmas break, January time period. So it's like they flipped it. Yet, other than Netflix, I still have to wait week by week. It's just so weird the way things. I used to feel like when shows would wrap up in May and you didn't get your show back until like September, October, that it felt like an absolute eternity.
And now you get to wait 2 years
For only like 8 episodes.
for like 8 episodes.
That they'll split into 2 parts. It's just, like we didn't realize how good we had it back then. Bring back the filler episode. I'm all for it now. Filler episodes,
I think there is a balance.
The more.
I think there's a balance that could be made where you can still have those character-focused filler episodes, but not have a 26-episode season. I think you could strike about
Give me the 24 episodes.
I think.
Do you want to go the Suits way? Okay.
I think Suits did a good job.
About 16 episodes.
16 kind of strikes that balance between having a lot of plot-forward episodes, but also having some goofing around episodes where you can just do whatever you want. I think that was a good balance.
From the comedy perspective, though, like we've been doing our New Girl rewatch, what we're going to get into, and we keep thinking that we're almost done with season 2, and we still, I think, at least have 4 episodes left because there's so many.
No, that only. So my 16 episodes theory only applies to like your 40 to 45 minute, dramas and stuff like that. The half an hour to 20-minute sitcoms, they need more than 10 episodes desperately.
And I believe we've also already talked about this on the podcast, but just a reminder. Probably the next show that we'll be talking about will be The Umbrella Academy, its final season. It hits Netflix on August 8th. And from what I've read, I don't think they're splitting it into 2 parts, which is Netflix's new favorite thing. Netflix loves splitting things into 2 parts as much as I love Anakin Skywalker. It's like their just favorite thing ever. But I'm pretty sure we're getting that all at once. And then, speaking of 2 parts and comedies or dramedies, Emily in Paris, Part 1 will come back to Netflix on August 15th, and Part 2, September 12th.
What season is this?
I think it's season 4.
Okay.
Emily in Paris.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Did you see? I commented so you could watch the trailer. You didn't watch the trailer, did you?
I'm not going to watch the Emily in Paris trailer.
I thought that she and Gabriel kind of agreed to be together at the last season. She's still going back and forth between him and Alfie. Whose team are you on?
Listen, Umbrella Academy and Emily in Paris both better have top-notch previously ons, because I have no idea what happened in the
end of the season with Emily in Paris. They were at I don't was it a wedding? I don't know. But Camille, remember, she's cheating on Gabriel with that lady.
Yeah.
She says she's pregnant. I thought she was making it up, but now I'm wondering with the trailer if she's not making it up. But I thought it kind of confirmed that Emily and Alfie broke up and that Emily and Gabriel were going to get back together. But the preview is making it seem like she's still torn between him and Alfie. What team are you on? Are you team Gabriel, team Alfie, or are you just team Emily?
I think I'm just Team Emily because, like,
The fandom
obviously,
is very split.
so obviously Gabriel was problematic for a lot of reasons.
But I feel like that's who she's meant to be
honestly, I've not seen the chemistry between her and Alfie. I just haven't seen it.
So many fans prefer her with Alfie, which is kind of crazy to me. That's why I feel like I wonder if they could actually change it based on what the fans want. Because for me,
wouldn't be the first time.
Excuse me? When was the other time?
I don't know. I'm just saying, it wouldn't be the first time TV shows changed because of fan outcry for stuff.
Oh, yeah. And I think there's a line between fan service and what makes sense.
Yeah.
This, I might say, would lean more towards fan service, and it's not because I consider myself more of a Gabriel fan, because I do agree with you. He's problematic. Everything that I've watched on the show up until then, it's those two. And now you're going to have to convince me that she actually does prefer Alfie to Gabriel, and they've got some work to do on that end. But we'll talk about Emily in Paris much later. Bonjour. Severance finally has a date. Season 2, January 17th. I'm very satisfied with that.
I could not name a more perfect date on a calendar for a show like Severance to come out.
Boring January.
January 17th is the most Severance day you could possibly think of.
And that will be on Apple, which, again, weekly release. I wonder if that's going to impact our viewing of Severance, because we really knocked out that first season.
I think that show can do okay weekly release. I think each episode generally gives you a lot to think about. And now that we're invested,
but I enjoy having more.
I think maybe it could have been a problem for us if we were watching it the very first time through season 1, getting invested.
I think that episode 3 or 4 is where we really
But now that
hooked.
we're invested, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
And I think they have some work on their hands. For season 2, for a show like Severance, it can either go one of two ways. It can be really great and build upon what they've got going on, or they might stumble a little bit. I did read a lot. This is what I do. I info dump. As soon as I finish a series, I go back and read it. There was a lot of drama behind the scenes, not just with the writer's strike, but with like certain writers like dropping out, script changes, just some issues on that side of things. And that's at least what I read. Who knows if it's true or not? Who knows? And I wonder if that will impact things. I know, like, Helly's character, like, I don't think we're going to see her as we knew her in season 1.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, although
I think she's going to be
the villain.
villain.
Like they showed,
know?
I feel like they showed Annie Helen in the trailer already.
Oh, really?
Maybe they didn't. I'd have to go back and watch it.
I'm not sure I watched
I know we saw the man,
Did
Ben
I watch
Wyatt's
that
character.
trailer? It's been a rough couple weeks. The show that you love to hate, Lord of the Rings, Reigns of Power, is coming back August 29th. I believe that will also be a weekly release.
Don't even the trailer is so awful.
This show is You're In Just Like That.
The trailer is
You're
so
gonna watch it.
bad.
You want to know what happens, but you also don't like it.
It's like we've heard the entire time that show has been off since season 1, that they changed out writers and they're going to try and take it in a different direction, and I guess they just decided that they're just going to keep the direction they're going to go in is just more insane.
Why, again, is it something to do with rights? I don't understand why they didn't just make a Lord of the Rings show in like Game of Thrones style, because they've got all the material, you have all the books. We had 3 movies? If those movies had been done now, we would have had 6 movies with everybody's obsession with splitting things. But I feel like Lord of the Rings could play out very well as a TV show. Like your whole season 1, like little things that you missed from those books. Like, when I first started reading Fellowship, I'm like, okay, everything, I'm like halfway through the book, and I'm like, nothing that I watched in the movie has happened yet. Like, I feel like the show could have done it. Is it a rights thing?
No, they have the rights to. The reason that they actually are having to make stuff. I mean, they're doing a Harry
Potter series.
The reason that Amazon is having to make stuff up is because they actually only have the rights to the Lord of the Rings. They don't have the rights to the Silmarillion and the other works that take place in the past.
But why didn't they just redo the movies into a show format?
I think there's a couple points to that.
I
think one, you're right. There's a lot there, but like you're also right. If you take season 1 as book 1 of the Fellowship of the Ring, nothing happens.
Yeah.
So like, how do you find that balance?
And
2, I do think to a certain extent they need to be careful, because you're not talking about some show that they're remaking that existed and it was like fine. They're talking about an Academy Award winning movie
And
franchise.
I'm sure fans would have had some feelings about it. I know that Harry Potter didn't win an Academy Award, but a lot of fans do have issues.
Yeah, exactly.
With
like,
the show.
and
the Harry Potter ended like after
yeah,
Lord of the Rings.
Imagine now, like you as a Harry Potter fan thinking there's going to be a different actor playing Harry Potter than Daniel Radcliffe,
Basically,
who was perfect, right?
I do agree with that. Basically, the way I've convinced myself that maybe the show's going to be better, maybe I'm like gaslighting myself, I don't know, is that certain things in the book didn't translate to the movies as well. Like, I hate when I have to argue with movie-only fans that are like, why does Harry end up with Ginny? Ginny's, because they didn't do anything to make movie Jenny a compelling character, whereas book Jenny's awesome. They took lines, because I don't know what was up with the ends of those Harry Potter movies. They were like obsessed with Emma Watson. I love Emma Watson too. They like kind of took away like some of Ron's importance and just put more of it, to the point I think they even gave her some of his lines. It was really weird. There was never, ever, ever any hint of a love triangle with Harry, Hermione, and Ron. And it drives me nuts when I talk to movie-only fans that are like, why didn't Harry and Hermione end up together? Like, if you read the book, you know by about at least book 4 that ain't happening. Like, I wondered it at first when I first started, and I was like, I'd prefer her if she's going to be with one to be with Ron, and then I was rewarded. Spoiler alert, I hope you all have read Harry Potter, so I wonder if they could flesh that out a little bit better. There's a whole storyline with Hermione freeing the elves, and that's how Hermione and Ron kiss. And their first kiss is like has to do with that. It's different in the books than it is in the movies. And then the whole thing with the fire bolts, like who gave that to Harry, like all that is different in the books. So I'm like, maybe if we do a show, we can explain that more, or they'll just screw it up even more. I don't know. I think what they should have done was a prequel for the Harry Potter stuff. They should have given us like James, Snape, Lily.
Hope. You're getting your Harry Potter all over my Lord of the Rings. All over it. It's just, you're just smearing your Harry Potter all over my Lord of the Rings.
I'm just acting like you do when we talk about my birthday, and then we end up talking about your birthday for a half hour.
The only thing I will say to wrap up on Lord of the Rings is they showed some pictures of characters a couple months ago, and they're putting Tom Bombadil in there, and all of a sudden the mood came up a little bit.
Him?
I don't know. The mood came up a little bit around the fandom because we were all like, we like Tom Bombadil. He's completely irrelevant to the story, and he better stay that way, but we love him. And then this trailer dropped, and it kind of just deflated the balloon for everybody.
I will always put Harry Potter all over Lord of the Rings. Because I am, at my core, a millennial. And we'll get into some very millennial things here in a minute, but we do have one more show announcement. It was Agatha all alone, September 18th. I'm pretty excited for that.
I think we knew this was coming in the fall, but we just didn't know exactly when it was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
are you excited for that? I am. I'm
I get excited about it every time I see somebody else dissecting the trailer on TikTok, which is probably a bad idea. Killed
Wanda off, right?
Which is probably a bad idea because the people on TikTok tend to just make stuff up. But I think, I'm going to make a prediction right now. I think Wanda Maximoff will be brought back in this series.
Okay, because that's what I was asking you. They seemingly have collectively killed off Wanda as we know it.
Yes. I think this show is going to bring her back in because, one, I think the way some of the trailer points around is interesting, and two, some of the stuff that they actually announced just this past weekend at San Diego Comic-Con with the movies that are coming up, if you go back to the comic book sources for what they're drawing from, Scarlet Witch is a huge player in some of that stuff. And so it's going to be difficult to do those without her. And so I'm hoping they just threw money at, what's her name? Elizabeth Olsen to bring her back.
The sister of Mary Kate and Ashley.
Yeah, because I think that she will be important. And I like her character, and I like Wanda, so.
Well, if you're bringing up Comic-Con, let's talk about the big thing. That's not in our show notes, but guess who's back? Robert Downey Jr. has been cast as Dr. Doom. So the first thing I did, and Dr. Doom is like the big villain in the Fantastic Four. The first thing I did was Google Tony Stark, Dr. Doom. There have been, I think, 2 different instances in the comics of where he like becomes Dr. Doom, or there's like memories transferred. So there is a blueprint for what they could be doing. I am kind of on the thing of like, why are we doing this? also excited because I do like Robert Downey Jr. Like maybe Disney was like, go win an Oscar, then we'll let you come back in and do something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I think people are going to expect him to like magically turn into Tony Stark again. And I'm just not sure like that's going to happen or that it should happen. Tony Stark went out as a major hero. I love you 3000. Let's leave it in the past.
Robert Downey Jr. is a great actor.
Absolutely.
And if he's given the right material, he can come in and be a completely different character. However, they're going to have to address that he looks exactly like Tony Stark. And I think that will come into play. And I think that they will tug on some heartstrings to a certain extent when we see Peter Parker.
Yeah,
when
did you see that TikTok too?
Yeah, when we see other characters see him again.
There's a theory that Peter Parker is going to have to be the one to like
put him down.
Put him down.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
It's an interesting decision. After Endgame, I kind of gave Marvel free reign, be like, okay, fine, you guys proved me wrong. I didn't think this was possible, but you did it. So do whatever you want. And now that since post Endgame period of time, which we're all both smiling because of what we're going to talk about after this, has been up and down.
Yeah, it's been up and down.
And so it's like Robert Downey Jr. coming back is exciting, but there's a little bit of desperation that sneaks in. Like, let's go get our iconic actor that made. I mean, he made the time period from Iron Man to Endgame. Let's go get him back and see if he can recreate the magic.
A lot of people thought it was going to be Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, I hope they have a bigger plan for
theories?
it. Yeah, I did. I hope they have a bigger plan for it. I hope this isn't just some like money grab thing. I hope they really thought about it and said this is the right decision to make.
It was pretty iconic where he ripped that mask off on stage.
It was really cool. To be in that stadium.
It was very much like, I am Iron Man.
Yeah. To be in Hall H and to see that happen would have been really cool.
Yeah.
So.
You could hear people before the reveal talking about, like, well, he's not the right height to be Cillian Murphy. Like, that's who a lot of people thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I'm glad we can finally say his name right.
I'm not even going to try.
All right, speaking of Marvel, the main topic that we are going to talk about today is we saw Deadpool 3, or as they call it, Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was amazing. Very millennial coded. Thank you, Blake Lively, for helping your husband put all these great millennial references in. Possibly, I think I'm going to give this my favorite opening sequence of a Marvel movie to date.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. A little bye, bye, bye. And he had the choreography down pat. I was doing it in my seat.
I know you were.
When Bye, Bye, Bye started, and then we've got Deadpool up there doing it. And I guess that was one of Blake's suggestions, was to include NSYNC. And I just think it's really cool that not only just a mere few weeks ago, we were like within feet of Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC, and then he was on the red carpet for Deadpool.
Hope has this thing where when she like is excited in the movie theater or at home, we don't sit close enough together at home for her to hit me.
Why would we do that?
But in the movie theater, she'll just like swing her arm over at me like and just tap me on the shoulder constantly. If there's
oh my
something
gosh, my mom
yeah, your
does
mom
that.
does that too. When you or something you like really like are excited about and want me to make sure
genetic.
that I'm paying attention to. And so this whole time you're like schmack schmack.
I was doing the moves to Bye, Bye, Bye.
I know some of it was the moves, but some of it was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. You were very excited.
I was very excited. And I knew because I had seen the leaked soundtrack, so I knew that NSYNC was going to show up, but I didn't know we were going to have the opening number with it.
I mean, they did the whole song.
They did the whole song.
Yeah.
All the choreography was great. So what else do you think about Deadpool?
I'm not going to go through the plot because it was,
go see it.
The plot. But, okay, so
it was the plot.
I thought it was really good. I thought
Funny.
it's the best Marvel since Guardians 3.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And Guardians 3 probably was the best Marvel since Endgame.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really good, really well done. I was surprised at how, like, heartfult and emotional it got sometimes.
It did.
Like really
Especially
legit,
the
like
end.
especially the end, but not just the end. So the end we're talking about is like the credits rolled, and they actually played kind of honestly a tribute to the Fox 20th Century Fox.
I wasn't expecting to
Marvel
cry
movies.
at Deadpool, which
But
I teared up then.
even the scene at the end when Deadpool is in that room trying to bridge the gap on the whatever the mechanical vice. The Deus Ex Machina thing that they have to do to save the world.
To defeat Paradox.
And
that's his name,
and then
right?
and Wolverine comes in and helps him, and they're holding hands.
Yeah,
and
that was emotional.
And they overplay both of them, kind of the journey that they're on, where the Wolverine of this movie kind of let down all the X-Men, and of course the Deadpool of this movie has always been searching for his place.
Yeah.
And I thought the way they mixed in the Madonna Like a Prayer and the
shot of Logan's abs.
Okay, that was funny.
Hugh Jackman looks really good.
He
for
puts
his
in the
age. He
work,
puts
let me
in
tell
the
you.
work.
It just was like I wasn't expecting to have those kind of feelings in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. I didn't, like I said, I didn't expect that I would get, I didn't really start to tear up until the credits, but I didn't expect it to hit me in the feels. But it was funny. I did expect to laugh the whole time. I definitely agree with you that it's the best Marvel thing since Guardians 3. I feel like if you asked me to sit down and compare Guardians 3 and Deadpool, it's just so hard to compare them because they're just two totally different movies. If you want to go just have fun at a movie, Daniel said, there's some emotional parts, but Deadpool is great. The cameos in Deadpool are what I wanted to see in the multiverse of madness or whatever with Doctor Strange. I actually think I willed. Okay, obviously we expect that you guys have already seen Deadpool, so Johnny Storm from Fantastic Four, the first... Well, maybe not the first, but the first ones I saw from the early 2000s with Chris Evans before he became Captain America. He was already in the Marvel Universe in the Fantastic Four as Johnny Storm. And I actually said to you before we saw the Doctor Strange, what is it called? Multiverse
of Madness.
I'm like, how cool would it be if they bring Chris Evans back, but not as Captain America, but Johnny Storm?
Yeah.
And of course they didn't. They had John Krasinski play
Mr. Fantastic,
who a lot of people, I guess, wanted him to be cast as Mr. Fantastic back in the day. We did get Peggy Carter playing a Captain America type.
A Captain America variant,
which she's British. That doesn't make sense to
She's
me.
Captain British or something. If you look at her outfit and her shield were the British Union Jack flag.
But the cameos that we got for Deadpool were so much better, in my opinion. So... yeah, we did. It's like they listened to me. We got Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, and he knocked it out of the park. And they totally teased us at first. And I knew that wasn't going to be Captain America.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to do it. But they have him in the blue outfit. And you even think Deadpool's he's going to say it. You think he's going to say something like Avengers Assemble or something. And he's play on. Is that what he says?
Yeah, that's what he says.
And I loved it. I felt I remember when Chris Evans was cast as Captain America, I had only ever seen him play kind of snarky roles like Johnny Storm, and I was like, he's going to play Captain
The internet
America?
Was not particularly excited about that.
I remember thinking that John Krasinski was going to be Captain. He was on, Jim Halpert was having himself a time back in the early 2000s. But I think, obviously, Chris Evans is a great Captain America. I loved him in that role, but I did like him as the kind of cocky Johnny Storm guy, and it was just really cool to see him again. And then they had some fun with that. I feel like Chris Evans came back specifically so he could do his last lines where they showed him mouthing off in the movie.
Yeah.
Let's see. We also got Gambit. Channing Tatum played Gambit, and he even had the trench coat on, the way Gambit's supposed to look. And what did I looked at you at one point.
You looked at me in the movie theater and you said, I get it. You're like the
Danny
DeVito
get the
meme.
Gambit love.
Because we went into watching X-Men 97, the cartoon, and you had remembered me saying Gambit was one of my favorite X-Men, and you didn't really understand it.
Well, my only time seeing Gambit was when it was basically Tim Riggins from Friday Night Lights.
Yeah,
I went back and watched those clips. And all I see is Tim Riggins. Channing Tatum had the look. He did have a little bit of the accent. I started to like Gambit a little bit more in the X-Men 97. But yeah, that really sold it for me. Blade.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes back as Blade.
I've
That
never
was
seen
awesome.
Blade, but
I was so excited when that happened.
There were people in our theater that visibly clapped.
I was so excited because those Blade movies or some of the very first ones, really. They kind of get forgotten.
Yeah.
I think the original Blade was 99.
Am I going to have to see Blade?
Well, Blade was awesome.
Blade, Wesley Snipes showed up in an episode of What We Do in the Shadows,
yeah,
right?
Yes,
During their,
correct.
Vampire. So is he a vampire? Is that
Yes, he's a day walker, so he can go out in the sun, and he's a vampire killer is what he does.
Cool.
But I love the Blade movies. I think they're awesome. I don't know if they've held up over the years, but seeing him come back and just being right back in that character when he walked in. And the little joke he had with Ryan Reynolds, because Ryan Reynolds was in the third Blade movie, and there was always been this like, I think it's made up like that they hated each other on set, and so then to have them kind of address that in the movie was really funny.
That's cool. And then we have Elektra. Jennifer Gardner showed up, and they kind of made a dig at both Daredevil and Ben Affleck. Like, he's gone. She's like, that's all right.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's how they met on the sets of those movies.
Yes.
And got together.
And the other one, and they spoiled this one in the trailer, and I'm not sure why they did this, but X-23. So Laura, the girl from Logan, the little girl from Logan, she's not little anymore. She was back in. I really think they should not have spoiled that in the trailer.
I feel like a lot of people didn't see Logan, and maybe that's why.
Logan is like the number 6 most earning rated R movie of all time.
It's good. I feel like for the most part, the Wolverine movies were kind of crap, except for that one. Like, they were not the best. And I know people would say the same thing about those X-Men movies, but those were my like kind of foray into superhero movies. So even The Last Stand, now I haven't gone back and watched it, but I'll say like I still enjoyed it. When Magneto gets his powers back at the end of The Last Stand and he's sitting there and they're playing like chess or whatever, iconic. They totally did like reference or like Magneto's gone, and I felt like Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, spoke for the fans. He was like, no, because we had all wanted to see Magneto.
Yeah. And there was a ton of other cameos too that you like, especially Cassandra Nova, who's kind of the main villain of the movie. With
and that is
her
Charles
Paradox.
Xavier's twin sister.
Yes, so she has this band of people that are working for her, and most of them are basically the same people who played various side X-Men over the course of the X-Men franchise to this date.
Isn't it weird how she looks like the guy that played Charles in First Class?
Yeah, it's
with
crazy.
Her head shape.
Yes,
like they literally could be related. She's in The Crown. She's Princess Diana in The Crown. That's all I saw, and then I'm like, that's the girl from The Crown.
Yep. So.
And then let's address who else we saw. The Calverine.
Oh, yeah.
Henry Cavill, baby. So they're going through. Deadpool's trying to find a Wolverine because he can't revive like the one from Logan, and he needs that to happen to preserve his timeline. So we see like the short Wolverine, like he would be in the comic books.
Yeah.
We see that version. And I guess they did like a lot of different comic book shots. But then you see like this very muscly man, and I was like, Hugh Jackman's looking really good here. And it turns around, and it's none other than Henry Cavill, the Calverine. And then, of course, we have our meta jokes. Like, we're going to treat you so much better if you come to our side than those jerks down the street, kind of poking fun.
Well,
at
he
DC.
was like a lot of people after Hugh Jackman said he had retired from the role of playing Wolverine after the movie Logan. A lot of people were making a case for like, well, let's get Henry Cavill in there to play him.
As much as I love Henry Cavill and I would love to see the Calverine, I agree with what Deadpool said. Hey, you're going to be in this role till you're like in your 90s. He's thought he looks good.
Yeah, so
Dogpool.
He was
so
great.
Cute.
Nice pool.
Where
Ryan Reynolds got to just have his face out.
So when all the Deadpools are coming together, and they're like, he starts naming movies, and then Nice Pool's like, I can name movies too. And he goes, so he starts naming like Ryan Reynolds movies, like The Proposal. I was the only one in our theater, and I was like,
it was like
silence
in the movie theater. Yeah, and you're the only
clapping for some of the other ones, and I was like, you know what? I love The Proposal. You think that's a good rom-com too?
It's fine.
No, it's great. The Proposal's iconic, and the fact that they referenced it, chef's kiss. Obviously, Blake Lively voiced Lady Pool.
Yep.
And then I looked. Apparently, like Matthew McConaughey, I think like Nathan Fillion.
Matthew McConaughey was the Western Deadpool, and Nathan Fillion was the head floating around.
Yeah, so he brings in, and then I think some of Ryan Reynolds' like family members.
His son was the Kid Pool.
And they did show, like, they did connect this Deadpool to the previous Deadpools.
Yeah.
We got to see, like, his friends, and that's because that's who we kind of wanted to save. I was really hoping we'd see Loki, but we didn't get to see Loki.
No, it really was, like, a satisfactory conclusion to the trilogy. Like, you could see it that way, and
I
it
still
would
want
work.
more, though. I just want more shenanigans of them playing around. But it was just so funny. There's so many, like I said, millennial references. I think the cameos were great. It was one of those movies where I felt like I was smiling from start to finish. Then we have Tom from Succession, who played Paradox.
A
and
perfect
it
villain.
just felt like Tom, even though he was using his actual accent.
But
perfect villain.
Perfect villain. Like, between him, he and Cassandra Nova were kind of a dual villain thing, but I feel like they brought in exactly the right actor for the role that needed to be played in that case, and it was really good.
It was a fun movie. A lot of fun, like, callbacks, cameos, and apparently somebody's posted a clip, because the internet always knows, of it's got to be one of the X-Men movies.
Yeah, one of the original X-Men
they're
movies.
like, we need some music, and Bye 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 comes on, and he's like, ugh.
Yeah.
So that just makes it even better. I don't know if that was intentional or what, because from my understanding, Blake Lively was like, you need to put NSYNC in there. So if it was, it's one of those things that just worked
a happy
out
accident.
perfectly.
Yeah. What did Deadpool say at the end of the movie? When he was talking about, Wolverine finds out that he doesn't really know that the TVA can bring his timeline back or not. And what did he say? He was
an educated wish.
An educated wish. I feel like I'm going to use that all the time.
Oh, you already did. We were on a run earlier, and I was like, I thought you said that we could turn around earlier than this to go back, because we kind of like changed up our normal loop. And you were like, I made an educated wish. Yeah, we're going to use that all the time. But yeah, it really did. Like, the Like a Prayer was funny, but it was also emotional. And then, like, the credits, I didn't expect to see that. Anytime you do, I'm blanking on the name of the band, Green Day.
Green Day, yeah, good
Anytime
riddance.
you do, that song.
Well, what they did was,
I hope you had the time of your life.
Yeah, they're playing the credits, and then on the side comes up basically like B-roll bloopers.
And the song is called Good Riddance,
yes,
right? Yeah.
B-roll bloopers from all of the 20th Century Fox Marvel movies.
Like,
so
all of them.
Blade, X-Men.
You see how young they look.
The First Class people get in there. Daredevil gets in there. Like, all of the Fantastic Four gets in there. You see how young everybody is. You see them talking about the movies.
You remember how young you were when you watched it? Like, we were in, like, junior high when those first X-Men movies came out. And it just shows you just time passes by, and like how young we were and how we've grown and we've changed. And they took some hits at Fox, but they did recognize Fox with that. They took some hits at, like, Disney took some hits at itself.
Oh, sure.
For Marvel, they're like, since everything's been trashed.
Since Endgame is what he said. Like, he said that right in front of, like, it was a really good movie. It was exactly what I needed, and it was exactly what I was looking for out of a Deadpool movie.
100%.
I do think, I know they have confirmed that at least Deadpool will be involved in some manner in the next few Avengers movies. Probably that means Wolverine as well.
We got to see Happy from the Avengers.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
Did you think we were going to see Tony Stark? A lot of people
They tried
said,
to play it up like they were going to.
I knew we weren't going to see Tony Stark.
It'll be interesting to see them try to bring rated R Deadpool and Wolverine into PG-13 Avengers movies.
Yeah. I
and
think
keep them authentically the same characters.
I think you can still keep him, like, very snarky. But what I like so much about it is where he kind of breaks that, like, fourth wall, and he'll, like he made the Gossip Girl joke at the beginning of the movie. And then he does mention, he's like, Blake's not going to like this, when he and Wolverine are kind of, like, rolling around. I love that we finally got to see the Wolverine mask. That was awesome.
Yeah. How could we not forget?
Iconic.
Iconic
Legendary,
moment at the end of the movie. He finally puts
amazing.
on. Okay, so first of all, in the movie,
I almost cried there.
Like, for anybody who's seen the trailers, he's wearing the iconic yellow and blue costume. But right before the final action scene, which was also very good, because it was basically, it wasn't a one shot, but they very much made it like a one shot where they followed down. But anyways, before they start that scene, he pulls his mask on, and it's like the first time we've ever seen Wolverine real life in the movies with his mask on, and it was just so awesome.
And other than me being the only one to cheer for the proposal, I felt like our crowd was very much into the movie, which is always fun when you see a Marvel movie and you see people are clapping, and I feel like we have not had that since Endgame.
No, I haven't had that.
That crowd was there to take in a Marvel movie, and it was like, because we wondered, we're like, are we gonna have like a fun crowd? Because I remember when we saw Endgame, everyone was clapping, cheering.
There was still one couple that got up as soon as the credits started rolling. They got up, and I'm like, "What have you people not learned anything?" But anyways,
what was the post credits? Now I'm like blanking on that.
That
was where Johnny Storm was
where
ranting.
Deadpool's like, let's go back and watch the tape, and because the joke was he got Johnny killed.
Yeah, which he didn't.
So he went back, and that gave
Chris
Evans the chance to do that rant that profanity-laden rant, which was great to see from an actor who, was famous in the Avengers movies for saying
Squeaky
language.
clean. Yeah.
So
I
that was
really
good.
think when it comes to Captain America and Iron Man, they need to keep their stories. At least Steve Rogers as our Captain America. I know we're having another Captain America, but that's how you bring Chris Evans back. You have him come do silly stuff like Johnny Storm.
Yes,
And
I agree.
And I think circling back to our conversation, I don't want to see Tony Stark. I felt like Tony Stark did the ultimate sacrifice at the end of Endgame, and that it would almost be kind of take some of that away. So I don't know what we're gonna be.
I just had a thought though.
Because if we could undo it all, then I want you to bring back Black Widow too.
I just had a thought. So one of the premises of this, I am literally, this is coming out of my brain live.
You're word vomiting.
One of the premises of this movie was that Deadpool's universe was dying because
Yes.
the anchor hero died,
Yes.
Logan. Well, what if Tony Stark is the anchor hero from our main universe? And what if that's how they're going to tie Doctor Doom in?
Maybe they could. There's different ways they can do it, and like I said, it has been done in the comics, so they can draw inspiration from that. And
I will just say this. I do not believe this is the last time we will see Chris Evans on screen in a Marvel movie.
So you think you'll see him come back as Cap? I mean, he's still
Well, he could still be multiverse Caps.
true.
There's all kinds of.
I don't know. I think for me that ended so.
I know,
perfectly.
I agree.
That's why I liked it that they let him be Johnny Storm in this.
Hey,
I don't know.
What's the one rule of comic books?
No one's ever really dead.
No one's ever really
Unless
dead.
you are Gwen, right? But
Yeah.
then they bring her back as Spider-Gwen.
Yeah, they
so
bring her
there
back
you
as
go.
Spider-Gwen. Used to be, except for Bucky, but they brought him back as Winter
I
Soldier. So
love Bucky.
everybody comes back.
Is he going to be in the new Captain America movie? I know he's going to be in the Thunderbolts. Is
Not
that
that
what
I'm
they're
aware of.
calling it? See, I just want to see him again soon, very soon. I think my one wish of the Marvel movies right now, I just want to see Loki again, because the way that Loki TV show ended just kind of bummed me out on it. It's just so badly, and I knew it was a long shot. I'm like, this would already been spoiled for me if I knew Loki was going to show up in Deadpool. But I just really do you think we'll ever see Loki again? I just really want to see him, my little trickster. He's my favorite.
I think if we have the chance to see him again, it will be in one of those Avengers movies with Doctor Doom or Secret. Well, Doctor Doom's going to be in both of them.
Yeah.
But it'll be somewhere in that area because one of the Secret Wars, which is the second Avengers movie that they have said is coming after the Doctor Doom one, specifically is the multiverse has been destroyed completely, all of it. And the only thing left is this battle world that Doctor Doom stitched together at the last minute. Well, I don't know how you could possibly do that without having Loki.
Addressing, Loki's like the tree right now,
Yeah,
holding everything
like
together.
holding everything together. So that doesn't necessarily say good things about what they might do with Loki if that's the storyline, but certainly they could bring him back for that.
Oh, Loki and Mobius to ride off on a jet ski
So,
together in the sun. Wouldn't
I'm
that be
excited for the Marvel Universe for the first time really in a while, but I'm also
great? Cautiously.
still cautious because the movies I know we have coming up next, I hate to say this because I'm a Captain America fan, but the Captain America trailer we got that's coming out this early next year did not draw me
And
in
I
at all.
love that actor. I like that Sam kind of picked up the helm or the shield.
And I like the show.
Could say.
I like the show.
I like the show, but the trailer looks really messy. And I guess Harrison Ford is a recast, right? Because the former actor passed away. So, because the whole time I'm like, who is Harrison Ford supposed to be in this? I'm like, so that's just I don't know. I know we'll see it. We'll see all them.
Sure,
Marvel
we'll see
movies.
it. I'm hoping maybe they just made it. They know people will go see it, and they just have a big misdirect trailer, and then they didn't actually show us anything about what the movie's about.
I'm the type of person that has enjoyed the Marvel shows for the most part. I've enjoyed the Marvel shows, so I don't.
Other than Secret War or Secret Invasion.
Yeah, that
Nick
one.
Fury
that
show
one really
was not
fell
good.
off. It wasn't very good, and then we didn't finish Echo because it was so boring. But the other ones, I really liked. I even thought She-Hulk was funny. And I liked how it kind of was a little bit like Deadpool and very meta and breaking that fourth wall. But I know a lot of people had issues with it. So I've never been, and I think Loki's. If you're gonna watch any of them, again, go watch Loki. I think it's fantastic. But I definitely agree the movies have not been as great as they could be. So what I wanted from the Doctor Strange one, the Multiverse of Madness, I ended up actually getting more from Deadpool with the cameos.
So, all right, folks. Well, that's all we've got for you this week. And like I said, we're kind of out of shows for a little bit of time. I guess we did. We have. So yeah, that's all the new stuff for you. So here we are now to talk to you about most of season 2 of New Girl. We're 2 or 3 episodes short of the finale.
Episodes left of season 2, but like we figured we would when the content runs dry and New Girl's a comedy and a comedy that we love, we're gonna zoom right through it.
It's not gonna take long at all.
It's not gonna take long at all. I don't even know what really it is. I feel like I had you write down something in your show.
Oh, I do. I have 2 things written down for New Girl. So the first one is Sigh.
Sigh. So at one point, Nick and Jess are like having an argument. I think this might have been towards the end of season 1. And she's like, I can't stand it how you sigh. And I say that to Daniel all the time. He sighs like ever. It's like Daniel is like my giant like teenage drama queen in the home. And he'll be like, oh yeah, like constantly sighing at me and like rolling his eyes. And I'm like, we just looked and we're like, oh, we've had that argument. So that's what that is from.
The second note I have is Prank Sinatra.
We get to see season 2, I think, introduces Prank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Because Winston either goes too small or too big. Because I know, doesn't he bring like the badger to Cece's wedding?
I think so. The thing I like is that the one of the episodes we just watched was the bachelorette party. Yeah. And Jess gives Nick and Winston the job of distracting Cece's fiance,
Chevron.
And so Nick gets in the car and just says, hey, what's up? We're going to go someplace. And then Winston goes in and he's got a baseball bat in his hand. He's like, you better calm down. I've got this athletic stick and I'm going to use it on you.
I'm going to hit you with an athletic stick.
It's just like he goes too hard or not enough.
So Winnie the Bish is just the best character. So obviously season 1 ended with Schmidt and Cece being dumb. They still like each other in season 2, so that's kind of in the background. And then season 2 is where they really put the gas pedal on Nick and Jess. So they have officially hooked up, as the kids would say.
That was the last episode we watched, actually, yeah.
I know it's very sad, but like the funeral episode with Nick's dad where Jess dresses as Elvis and sings In the Ghetto is hysterical to me.
No, it's good. It's really good.
Ghetto? And then you see her, she's singing one song and she's like looking at her hand to see the words. I think one of my biggest takeaways from this rewatch is how funny Jess is too, because all the guys get credit, but Zooey Deschanel like makes Jess hilarious. And that's another thing. I know I was gonna mention this. I think one of the maybe she's like Jess in real life as a person, I'm not sure, but I'm always seeing comments about how she plays the same character in every movie, and I absolutely disagree. I feel like Jess is completely different than the other times I've seen. Now, I have not seen the movie with her and the guy from Third Rock from the Sun that everybody loves, so I don't know what her personality is in that one. But I feel like in general, before New Girl, before Jessica Day, she was very much like her character from Elf, kind of like that bored to death, like kind of like I talk like this, because she was sarcastic. Like that when she showed up on Frasier. She's like that in Elf. She's in Failure to Launch. She plays Sarah Jessica Parker's like roommate or something, and she's very much that dry, sarcastic, kind of like the anti-Jessica Day. So I don't know where people are coming up with that, because I'm like, no, maybe it's just how Zoe's more like peppy like Jessica in real life, but when you go back and watch it, I have seen Zoe be more of that kind of like dry character, like the anti-Jessica Day. So I just felt the need to say that, because I'm like, where is this coming from?
We met Robbie this season for the first time.
Robbie?
Cece's boyfriend for a short period of time, but he ultimately just keeps popping up here and there.
And then Dr. Sam.
Dr. Sam.
We got the one of the best Halloween episodes, because Nick hates haunted houses, and Jessica is working there because she had been fired or let go, I think laid off from her previous job. And Nick punches her in the face. It's just, oh gosh, it's just so funny. I think with Nick and Jess, one of my things, well, obviously they have, I think, one of the best first kisses of all like TV show couples. Like, it's definitely in the top 5. But one of the things that annoys me about them is all the sitcoms that Niles and Daphne did it, everything, like always somebody gets hurt along the way that like didn't need to, which I guess she started realizing her feelings for Nick kind of at the end of Dr. Sam's romance, so it wasn't as bad there. But like you can tell, like, and like those last few episodes, it's like, oh my gosh, will you just get together already? And like we're gonna see basically Schmidt and Cece kind of have similar.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's from a show standpoint, I understand, because it's like trying to increase more drama, please. But it is disappointing sometimes to see that what generally speaking, good characters kind of get the bad end of the stick on that, just because they, these two characters must kith.
I'm very excited to see Taylor Swift show up. I know she shows up at the end of season 2 because she's with Chevron, not Chevrain, as Cece calls him. She's like the girl he's actually in love with. So I'm excited for that. I know that Coach comes back in season 3. Yeah. Season 3, as a Schmidt-Cece fan, that's tough on us Schmidt-Cece fans. Yeah. Because you are kind of really irritated. But I know season 3 also gives us... I'm just laughing. Michael Keaton.
Oh, yeah, the Michael Keaton episode.
I know like some of the jokes that are to come, and I'm very excited for that. And yeah, I don't know. Like, there's not much else to say about New Girl other than it just every time I sit down and watch an episode of it, I'm reminded why I love it.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. Well, now that is actually all we have for you this week. Next week, I think we're taking off. We've got a supercut ready to go out for you all. And we'll be back the week after that with, I think at that point, we'll be ready to have watched Umbrella Academy.
Maybe.
And we'll certainly have watched some more New Girl. We'll come up with something. Maybe I'll subjugate Hope to Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, and we can talk about that one. Because we got to slowly work her through all the Star Trek movies until she gets to my favorite one.
No.
You have to watch my favorite movie of all time. I've watched your favorite movie of all time.
What is my favorite movie of all time?
I don't know, but I'm sure you've made me watch it.
I think... How would... The Hangover, which probably would be my favorite movie of all time. I'm a very classy person. You would watch that anyway.
You liked Wrath of Khan. You liked the original Star Trek episode that we watched.
It was fine.
And you'll like, I need to get you to Star Trek 4 because then you'll be in. Once you get Star Trek 4, that's the one everybody likes. That's the one that was an actual blockbuster. You'll be in.
Oh, we did get a clip, speaking of Star Trek, of Strange New Worlds.
Oh, yep. Yeah.
Comic-Con.
So
Do we know when we're getting that?
So they announced a bunch of Star Trek stuff. That's the only thing they did put a date on. We are getting Lower Decks.
Get a clip.
Lower Decks is coming in September, but we got a clip for Strange New Worlds. I would say, I hate to say this. May. I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to release it in winter. I think they'll wait until April, May timeframe. So unfortunately, we got a little bit of time to wait. So with that,
live long and prosper.
Thanks for listening to this episode of We Watch TV, a podcast about the TV shows we watch. You can find more from Hope and Daniel on Instagram at We Watch TV Podcast. Drop us a line if you like the show, have a question, or a recommendation. You can find Hope on Twitter at Lil Runner and Daniel on Twitter at The Real Hobo Dan. Music for today's podcast was provided by Your Tunes from Pixabay. Artwork was created using the AI program Midjourney with prompts written by Daniel.